I imagine that someday I may have a store written about my life, and it would be good to have a detailed account of it.
Those words come from Ross Ulbricht's own journal. A proud libertarian, a former Eagle Scout, Ulbricht dreamed of a free market, Amazon for criminals. In January 2011, he launched Silk Road on the Tor network, a hidden online bazaar for drugs, hacking tools, fake IDs, and way more. The Silk Road quickly became the most sophisticated and extensive criminal marketplace on the internet. At its peak, it listed thousands of illegal items, cannabis to opioids, hacking services to counterfeit passports. It even boasted user feedback, ratings, and escrow payments in Bitcoin, creating a perverse economy of trust. To everyone else, Silk Road was just an anonymous .onion address, but to Ulbricht, codenamed Dead Pirate Roberts, it was a fortune. By 2013, Silk Road had handled roughly $214 million in drug sales, and Ulbricht's cut of the Bitcoin commissions was around $13 million. Ulbricht ran the site with absolute control. He hired admins and programmers, and even discussed violence to protect his empire. Ironically, while the Silk Road hid its users behind Tor and Bitcoin, the man at the helm believed in criminal liberty, but it found its way of bleeding through. Silk Road's shadow marketplace grew under Ulbricht's watchful eye, untouchable in theory. Silk Road was a digital bazaar for illegal goods and services, and for years law enforcement could only wonder who DPR truly was. The elusive kingpin felt invincible. But even emperors make mistakes. A single slip in Ulbricht's guarded world would change everything. The crack in Silk Road's armor started with just a forum post. In January 2011, a Kansas tax agent stumbled upon Silk Road's name online. Months later, that same agent saw a Silk Road job ad and traced a reply email all the way to Ross Ulbricht. And suddenly, the FBI had a real name behind Dead Pirate Roberts. Still, proving it was another story. Silk Road servers hid behind the Tor's encryption network, and Bitcoin masked every payment. The site had eluded capture for years. Lawmen on multiple task forces in the DEA, the IRS, and the Secret Service pored over all the clues. They knew Ulbricht was the suspect, but to make a case, they needed him online. Then luck intervened. In early June 2013, an anonymous Tor user warned on Reddit that the real Silk Road IP address was leaking. Cyber Squad agent Chris Tarbell seized on that glimmer. He flooded Silk Road with bogus login attempts, watching network traffic. Finally, on June 5th, he took one of the IP from the logs and saw Silk Road's capture page in his browser. It was the Smoking Gun. The hidden site pointed straight to Thor data center in Iceland. US prosecutors working with the Icelandic authorities obtained a warrant. On Tarbell's next visit to an Icelandic city, police escorted him to the gleaming Thor server farm. He was handed a cloned hard drive of the Silk Road servers. Suddenly, the entire marketplace was in the FBI's hands. What they found was staggering. System logs and transaction records, months of data on a mirror drive. It was like holding the Silk Road in your hands. They watched what one day's totals, over 3,200 Bitcoin transfers worth $19,459, roughly $7 million a year, in his pockets. Every user, every purchase, every login, all exposed. They pored over it, mapping all of the breadcrumbs, from New York to San Francisco. By late 2013, the net was closing. FBI cyber squads coordinated with cyber commands in Iceland and even a team in France, which held Silk Road's backup servers. They planned a sting, catch Ross Ulbricht in his internet cafe with his laptop open on the Silk Road's admin panel. On October 1st, 2013, surveillance had Ulbricht boxed in. In the afternoon, Tarbell's New York team learned that their surveillance was on the move. "He's on the move," crackled the radio. At 2:45 p.m., Ross Ulbricht left his San Francisco apartment carrying a laptop. He logged into the Silk Road from nearby, unknowingly entering an FBI trap. The FBI was waiting just yards away at the local library. Tarbell, disguised as a bystander, whispered into his headset. DPR had logged on. Ulbricht walked into the local library and sat at a table, his laptop open and the Silk browser also logged on. Moments later, agents sprang into action. What happened next looked like a scene from a crime thriller. At 3:14 p.m, 2 agents staged a commotion right behind Ulbricht. An actor started a drunken fight. Startled, Ulbricht turned just as an agent reached across the table and grabbed his laptop. In seconds, FBI tech Tom Kieran swooped in and dialed the laptop into the FBI's hands. It was elegant. Tarbell would later say they did it in under 10 seconds. In May 2015, Ulbricht received the maximum punishment, life in prison without parole. Quote, "No one is above the law," the judge declared.